Pettingill. You heard, of course, the opposition leaders could be described as damning allegations against you and the Premier. Are they true?
Well, I think he was reporting on a conversation that he purportedly had. But let me say this. It would make absolutely no sense whatsoever for that to be the case, and I'll tell you why. The previous government, when they granted a they granted a lease to the developer of the Club Med site, included in that lease a provision that would allow him to have a license if the government eventually allowed for gaming. This is the previous government. Now, I was aware of that lease. I saw it at the time of coming into power. That caused me concern because obviously a government or members of a government should never be involved in granting a casino license to anybody. So what I have done in going about, this is partly based on the Singapore model, in setting up the law and the regulations, only an independent regulatory authority will be able to grant a license to any casino operator at all. So it rubbishes as any type of position that anyone in a position of power would be able to take a deal, which would be crazy, with a potential developer on the basis that they would give them a license. Now, a thing may have been done by the previous administration. In fact, it was, because it was written into the lease. I ensured that type of thing really could never happen again. And that's why we're crafting the law and the regulations the way that we are. So you have an independent regulatory authority. So in my view, that entirely nonsenses, rubbishes that type of position, that the Premier would come along and make that type of statement, which on the basis of any sensible fact could not be the truth. And I find it ironic that the three guys that were in the room heard what the opposition leader had to say. I heard that with my own ears. I heard what he had to say, reported on that. I found it shocking at the time that those are the three guys that are supposedly involved with some type of payment. This is absolute lunacy, and it's got to stop. But I'm very glad on this occasion, as soon as I heard it, I smiled, because I thought the way that we're setting it up, the way that it was done is not the way that it will be done, and the way that we're setting it up would not simply allow for that type of thing. And I've been at the forefront of leading that charge on ensuring that there's that type of check and balance with regard to who will get a license.
Any fears that these sorts of claims could lead to people not having confidence in gaming if it's eventually legalized and we have casinos?
Of course that's a fear. We saw this last night. But that's the whole plan, it appears, of the opposition. That's the whole plan. This opposition leader and the opposition are only interested in one thing, in being the government again. And their venom and their bitterness at the fact that they lost just comes out time and time again. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. They've done it time and time again. I have been slandered time and time again, and called into question with regard to things. It's tiresome. And it doesn't do the country any good. It does the country no good to have them going on Caribbean news networks and doing the things they're doing. Do they really think that if they become the government again, they're going to go and saddle up to these people and say, hi, okay, well, we're not, being that way anymore. We'll be all friendly now, and we want to embrace you and do business with you. It's not going to work like that. They're damaging Bermuda. This is damaging to Bermuda for the sake of someone's ego. For the sake of him protecting his own position. He is damaging this country with these types of things. It's sickening. Sickening.